Kirishima licks his lips. He can taste the salt of the sea on his tongue. The noontime sun beats down hard on the tense crew. Kirishima's skin itches. His palms sweat and the sword at his side feels heavy on his hip. He prays he doesn't have to use it. He's along for the ride. He doubts the Iwador Komodo will allow him to continue employment much longer. He stands just behind his father and his uncle as they await the pirate ship to reach their starboard side. Pirates. His noble family was something akin to exterminators. Their name was well known among the seas. Ijiro himself, however, was less inclined to follow their path. Not that he was unloyal, no, but... He side-eyes his father's hands, one resting atop his sheathed sword. The same hands that held him when he was a baby held the sword at his hip, one that has pierced the hearts of many unfortunate souls. He blinks, and behind his eyelids all he sees is red from the sun, and he imagines his blood spilling onto the well-waxed boards of the government boat. There were great expectations for Kirishima Ijiro. He was skilled in combat, a good shot, and he handled a sword well. But when the time came, he was no killer. In that regard, his family in the business dubbed him as weak. His mother and sister would love to have him home. He was here merely for formality. If it weren't for his family's image to uphold, he wouldn't be here at all. Look sharp, Ijiro. Bakugo's almost here. We don't need your spineless attitude degrading us any further, his father says, cutting through his thoughts. Kirishima stands taller, seeing the ship align, pirate flags flapping proudly in the wind. It's a beauty. Rugged and aged, weary signs of battle marks and scars at surface, but its presence is astounding, and Kirishima is sure its sails would allow it to outmatch their finest fleets. Its name? Crepitus. A reminder of the unmatched firepower resting inside. Kirishima could possibly grasp the tension that hangs in the air and knead it between his fingers. His blood is pounding fiercely in his ears as the gangplank clatters between the ships. One man rises. Kirishima intakes a breath in spite of himself. He's clothed richly, with a heavy coat despite the heat. His jacket is thick and lined with gold, the buttons glinting as he strides across the plank, like the sway of the sea is made in tune to the beat of his heart. He demands presence. His captain's hat sits atop of a shock of white blonde hair, and when he saunters with an easy grin to stand in front of Kirishima's father, his eyes flash more orange than the setting sun. The tan skin around his eyes wrinkles slightly, creasing the faint tattoo beneath his eye, a little X, if Kirishima's eyes do not deceive him. Kirishima's gaze flickers to the hand that fondles the hilt of the sword at his hip, also smattered with ink. "So, tight asses," he draws out. Kirishima sees his uncle twitch. "You stooped so low as to ask for a pirate's advice? You must really be lost." "Bakugo!" The pirate's face turns stern. "That's Captain, Commodore. I address you by your title. You address me by mine." Kirishima's father's voice grates in annoyance when he speaks again. "Captain Bakugo, we are here to negotiate information." "Negotiate?" Bakugo walks back and forth in front of Kirishima's father and uncle, inspecting them like members of potential crew. "No, we're here for a solid exchange. You go first, since you put me through all the trouble of meeting you on royal waters." Not once did he lay eyes on Kirishima, but he knows his vision is like that of a hawk. Even if Bakugo was overseeing the position of each crew member, no doubt his own crew was also ready to fight at a moment's notice. That was the thing about pirates. They had nothing waiting for them at home. Their life was on the sea. The ability to give 100% into a fight, no regrets, and no compromises to wish set foot one last time on land. It was admirable, in a way. "We can sit in the captain's quarters," Kirishima's uncle says. "We'll have the paperwork. We do it here," Bakugo says. He's shorter than both the men he's addressing, but Kirishima, even related, can't help but put his wagers on Bakugo, the way he commands them without any warrant. "We'll give you half. Then you inform us of the Pirate Queen's whereabouts. The secondary information will—" "King," Bakugo interrupts. "She's one of the 8. That means she's a king." "Yes, well, technicalities. The information you want isn't here." Kirishima's uncle passes Bakugo a small book, leather-bound. The pirate takes it, eyebrows furrowed, and rustles through the pages. "You've read it?" he asks. "Yes." The pirate hands it back. "Read it out to me. I'll know if you're lying. I intend to destroy the physical evidence." Kirishima's uncle tenses up again, less than pleased to be ordered around by the scum he hunts for a living, but he does what he's told. Kirishima listens intently, but all he gets are pieces of old poems and vague island descriptions. He's soon lost to studying the pirate's face, stone as he drinks up the information. The only indication he's getting anything out of it is a slight twitch of his brow, as something clicks into place for him. "Very well, then." He takes the book back and slips it into his coat pocket. His jacket falls open, and Kirishima notes his shirt is unbuttoned. Kirishima wonders if he's really so brave as to provide no protection for his vital organs. "The old bitch is just east of Endeavor's territory," the pirate says, and their fact-checker rushes to his father's side. "You mean the Ka Islands?" The pirate's lips curl over his teeth in a terrifying grin. "You know where I mean. She's been on and on about the Pirate King owing her a debt. She intends to collect soon." The fact-checker is writing furiously, skipping through his notes. Bakugo's already walking back to the plank when Kirishima's father cries out, "Do you really think us to be so incredibly stupid as to follow a goose chase to Ka? That place is teeming with pirates, you filthy liar!" Kirishima's hand falls to his sword out of habit, but it shakes enough he doubts he could hold it fast. Swords and guns are drawn around him as members of Bakugo's crew saunter over the plank. "Well," Bakugo bows mockingly and nods to both his father and his uncle. "Commodore, Captain, I doubt you'll be handing over the other half of that information. But I expected as much, from idiots who think they can trust pirates." Just as he's finishing his sentence, his thumbs are looped into the swords at his side. 2. Kirishima had missed the intail before. Bakugo throws them into the air and catches them just as the government crew lunges his way. Sounds of clashing metal ring into the air, shots are fired, and before Kirishima's hand can catch up and draw his sword, there's a blade against his throat and he's being hauled towards the gangplank. The point of the blade traps him. He's terrified to move too fast. "Raise the cannons!" Kirishima hears the throaty yell of the pirate captain in his ear. He saw him parry his father's sword, then his uncle's. He hit them both in the back of the head with the blunt of his weapons, a force that should have knocked them out if not for their thick-skulled genetics in play. He slipped between them so fast Kirishima didn't have time to react. He was incredible. "Hold for my signal, though I doubt we'll be needing them against this sorry lot." Kirishima looks around, the board stained red, their blood. These pirates were matchless in their power, and the Iowa government had no backup fleet for support due to the agreement of the exchange. The clattering of swords and yelling dies down as Bakugo tugs on Kirishima, who is shaking as Bakugo nears the plank. "No one moves," Bakugo says. He slips behind his crew members who circle around him in defense. Kirishima's half dragged, half lifted onto the plank as Bakugo pulls him across. He dare not move. On the last leg, he shoves him down, and Kirishima's hands scrape against the splintering and grimy deck. He stands quickly, fighting stance ready as the crew aboard the boat encircles him. He feels panic rising in his chest, but he beats it down. "Commodore, it would do well not to let your family stand so close to you, if they do not intend to fight," Bakugo says. He sounds like a maniac, drunk on his power over the head of the government fleets. His crew turns to the deck, smiling sinisterly at Kirishima, who's feeling a little scared and definitely surrounded. "This redhead bitch is mine until you offer up that secondary information. I get the info, you get him back. Or, you leave him to me, and I let you go free." Kirishima feels his blood run cold. He swallows hard. He had suspicions about his worth, but his stomach jumps when he sees his father whispering something to his uncle. His father locks eyes with him, and in a moment that feels like forever, Kirishima sees the plank between the ships slip free, falling into the blue water below. Bakugo spits as he jumps from the ship rails to the deck. He locks eyes with Kirishima, and Kirishima stares back in shock. "That was unexpected. I took you for a daddy's boy, but I guessed wrong. That's pretty damn cold." Kirishima knows the crew's around him, but he's focusing on the sharp glint of the pirate's teeth as he bares them in a crazed smile. His mind whirls. He wants to watch his ship, his family, leaving him, but the man in front of him commands his gaze to fall to him. Kirishima's hands shiver over the hilt of his sword, and Bakugo doesn't miss the movement. Oh ho ho! Bakugo shoves his face into Kirishima's. His eyes are bright, and he's close enough for Kirishima to see the sun freckles on his nose. What do we have here? A government dog who can't pull a sword? The crew snickers around him, and Kirishima wishes he could be done with it, but his good conscience holds him back. If I were to kill you, I'd be no better than you, Kirishima says, proud of the way his voice does not waver. The pirate snorts. Funny you assume you could kill me. The crew is uproarious, and Bakugo circles Kirishima like he's toying with his prey. He pulls a clay pipe from within his jacket, casually pressing in tobacco. He stares evenly at Kirishima as he does so, setting the end between his teeth. Then the pirate shoves his shoulders. He forces him onto the ground in a sudden fall that scrapes Kirishima's elbows on the wood. Kirishima's hands shake against his own will as the pirate stands over him, large black boots entrapping his waist. He notices idly his own white pants are filthy at this point. He twitches as the pirate crouches, shoving his face into his side, rough hands against his jaw. There's a sting as he rips out the stud from Kirishima's ear. He inspects it carefully. Looks like we've got a diamond, boys! The pirate thrusts his hand into the air, raising the yelling voices of the crew as they roar their laughter. Kirishima is frozen beneath him, his nerves on edge, and the scrapes on his skin stinging from the sea salt. Mina! Yes, Captain? A woman's voice calls from the crowd. Kirishima surprised. Iowa still followed their superstitions about women aboard seafaring vessels. We have a new heading. We're going for Endeavor's territory. I want to cross some information with the old hag. He was telling the truth? Either way, no sane government ship would venture there without a particular invitation. Even then, there would undoubtedly be casualties. And what about the noble boy? Another crew member asks, voice taunting. Kirishima turns and sees a rather slight-looking man, probably his own age. A snicker goes through the crew, and Kirishima thinks if his blood goes any colder, he should be walking the bottom of the ocean. The pirate grins down at him. Well, I'll strip him of the rest of his noble goods, of course. Kirishima sets his jaw. The pirate stands back and pulls him to his feet. Kirishima almost nods his thanks before he remembers his situation. Your coat is quite nice. The gold buttons are worth a pretty penny, as are those brooches. Take them off. Bakugo holds out his hand. Kirishima's fingers don't shake when he undoes his jacket, but the sweat on his skin hits the sea breeze and it sends a chill through him. Bakugo snatches it away and examines the fabric closely, nodding. He dips his hands into the pockets, pulling out spare coins but not much else. He throws it to the crew member behind him. Your shirt's nice, too, he says, stepping close. He runs his fingers down the silk on Kirishima's arm. He feels the roughness of his fingertips hitch on the expensive cloth. Take it off. Kirishima does so, throwing the bundle at the pirate a little forcefully. The pirate laughs and looks around at his crew, who snicker in turn. Spiteful, this one. Bakugo laughs. You're quite fit, the captain says, and in spite of his predicament, his gaze makes him embarrassed. A jolt goes through his stomach. The chain around your neck. Kirishima gives it to him. It was a gift from his father. His eyes flicker to the sea. He can't see the boat from here. What was the purpose of this? Did he miss his step in his plans? Was he trusted with a special assignment? Kirishima clings to the idea for a moment, but his honest heart tells him of the futility of his desperate explanation. Bakugo glances down. I'll take that fancy sword. Kirishima gives it to him. Your boots aren't as nice as mine, so you can keep those. Thanks, Kirishima says, voice flat. The captain bares his teeth in a grin. He walks close, sudden enough for Kirishima to step back as he bumps his shoulder. Kirishima catches a gold glint in his smile as he passes. For now, man the sails, Bakugo yells. Kirishima is left on the deck amidst the yelling chaos that is a pirate ship setting course. He backs himself into the side of the boat to stay out of the way. He catches as calloused hands pull on the sogged rope, lifting high tattered orange sails. Kirishima tilts his head up with them, watching canvas fire fill the sky.